Hello and welcome to my channel, AB Make It Artwork, where we do what we do to make that artwork for you. And if you're new to my channel, maybe hit that subscribe button, join the AB Creative Crew. We do sketchy art things. As a continuation of my work stories series, I'm going to talk about working in Hell's Kitchen. And I don't mean the cool TV show or the really funnily named Hell's Kitchen in New York or somewhere else. It's just a kitchen that really sucked to work at, restaurant-wise. I'm not gonna name the restaurant, but people who personally know me and know where I worked know what I mean when I'm talking about this restaurant. It's a little cafe. It's a 365 day a year, like 24-hour, every day a week, all throughout the year. This cafe is open and it's part of a hotel. It's a very old cafe. A lot of people like to stop by it. But, excuse me, some of the management there is a little crazy, but for the most part they were pretty nice when I worked there. But introduction to the workplace aside, my job at this cafe at first was being a dishwasher. And an interesting fact about being a dishwasher or working in the kitchen is that the kitchen is mostly male dominated. So whenever they got a girl to work in the kitchen, I think the only other female I saw who was a worker in the kitchen was this really old woman in her 70s that had been working there like since the first opening of the restaurant. And she was sort of a sous chef, prep chef. Well, not a sous chef, prep chef. She helped with prepping the vegetables and certain meals, mostly soup. And that's kind of what she did. She had a little stool, she would cut up vegetables. She was super cute and super sweet. I mean, little old ladies are adorable. I can't help it. But I was a dishwasher, and my guy friends, my coworkers, they were pretty chill, they were pretty cool. I think the best ones were the ones that were also into nerdy stuff like anime and video games and cards, Magic the Gathering kind of card games or Dungeons and Dragons and that stuff. Like, we had quite a few of those people that were in the back. They were kind of newer compared to the veteran crew, but they'd been there for like a year before me. And I think, the expectation when you're in the back as a dishwasher, aside from like that you're usually going to be a guy, is that being a girl, my experience in the back was that I had to work twice as hard. One, because that's just how I tend to work. And two, I would usually get paired up with a cocky, lazy jerk of a coworker, unless I was getting paired up with my cool nerdy friend who was also a redhead and like super awesome. So dishwashing wasn't hard. You just had like these high pressure sprayers and you just rinse them off real good and then throw them through the dishwasher. You just want to get all the solid bits off of your plates to where they're pretty clean, but then it goes through a machine dishwashing cycle and air dries. And once you're done with like your dishes, you hand them off to the different stations so that they can be prepared to like make new dishes and stuff. Well, prepare the meals, and then eventually you'll get your dirty dishes back from the waitstaff. And it wasn't a hard job. It's like I said, all you had to do was like separate really big solid foods from the dirty plates into a trash bin. Then you gotta rinse off what's left, and then like throw them on a rack, throw them in the dishwasher, boom, bam, you're done. And I would do hours of this. Oh gosh, and I think my worst of the dishwashing experiences, again, this had to do with the other guy, and it usually tended to be like a blonde-haired, lighter-eyed guy, sometimes darker eyes, that would always work at like 10%, and I hated him. Hated him. This guy eventually got fired because he would wash dishes way too slow. But I remember I always had to like keep pushing him to go to the other station, because if I left him at one station for too long, Mount Dishmore would appear because of how slow he was at doing dishes. And I was like, what the heck are you doing? You're going slower than a dead snail. Please pick up your pace. And just super annoying. Eventually, I did this for like 3-4 weeks, and the male owner of the restaurant saw how hard I was working, and they promoted me to waitstaff. And I'm gonna say like promoted with heavy emphasis on air quotes, heavy sarcasm, because when I got promoted, they didn't tell me that my pay got like demoted $1, but they justified this decrease in pay because I would be receiving tips. And it's like, okay. But the shit pile topped that was the fact that they suddenly made a 20% tip pool out of the waitstaff's tips to pay the kitchen crew. And to stack another little shit cherry on top, they didn't bother to tell us until much later that part of our tip pool, which we were glad to give the tip pool to our kitchen staff, because without them we can't get the food out to our customers. We found out that the bedroom staff, the maid staff, were also getting part of the tip pool. And it's like, but they can receive tips too, and they don't have to write them down. Why am I paying for their job with my tips that I earned? So it was like a whole bunch of like bullshit with the whole 20% tip pool. And I later found out after leaving that job that they're not even allowed to take that much. They're only allowed to take 8% out of the tip pool. But this was because they refused to increase the wages of the kitchen staff that had been there for years. And they were like, what? I think the person who made the most was maybe $14, almost $15. But this is a person who did a lot of rotating shifts, had been there for very long, and honestly, half the time they did not get as appreciated as they should have been, but it was the only job available to them. Which happens to a lot of like the returning veteran crew or seasonal crew. It's just a job that's available to them, and they come back because it's like it's something easy to do that also gets them paid. So I realized I have a lot of stories about this place that could probably span through 3 videos. But here's some other things you should probably know. I was the baby of the group. I loved being the baby of the group, of the work group. I was only 18 at the time. And I was the baby of the group, and everyone would tell me I'm the baby of the group, and it was really funny. Like I said, a lot of my coworkers really liked me. They liked that I was very determined, very willing to listen, very willing to like find things to do. And I find like those are all really good traits that if you're willing to ask, hey, what can I do to occupy my time, that a lot of older staff will like really love you. And it's not kissing butt. For me, it was like taking up time so that I'm not just standing around like a doofus all day. And something else you should know is that I would bike to work. I would bike to work at the time because I didn't have a car. And I think at this point I had yet to actually finish my driving lessons to get my license. So there's a little fun factoids that I didn't get my license till I was 19, though I did have a permit well before then, but with emphases. And I gotta say, some of my favorite things about being a dishwasher is that you don't have to deal with people. That job's super freaking easy, but very labor intensive. And you get to wear whatever the heck you want. I mean, I wore leggings and a Spider-Man skirt in the back, in the kitchen. And they didn't care, because you're not wait staff, you don't have to be in the uniform. Like, plenty of people in the kitchen got to wear jeans and a button-down shirt, and it's just like, try to like maintain some form of like, sort of nice shirt. And that's about like all you had to wear in the kitchen, so super chill in the kitchen. but out front, it's still super chill if you get stuck with the veteran crew. And I don't mean like get stuck as in a bad way. I love working with the veteran crews, and they are usually on the breakfast shift. Like, new people usually end up on the dinner shift or the graveyard shift, but veteran crew, breakfast crew, they were amazing, wonderful ladies. And we had a couple of like men wait staff, only maybe 2 that are still working there as far as I know, and they were super chill guys, like so funny. Veteran crew is really nice. If you get stuck working with certain people, like in food service, you'll either have the experience like my friend did, where it's like veteran crew kind of, it's crotchety old people, or they're just like about your age or slightly older, and they're really nice and they know all the BS you'll have to deal with. And I got the like really nice older people that were willing to work with me because I was willing to work with them, and they were one of my favorite parts of working there. And that could be the said of like all jobs, is like having great coworkers, a great support team is one of the best parts about working at any place. And if it's not for those like great coworkers and support team at your job, I think I would have probably left a lot sooner than I did. Oh, I'm trying to think of what I can say or what I probably could say after that. There was like a lot of weird stuff, like weird conditions and rules about kind of working there that have really changed since I left. For instance, when it comes to working there, some of the perks that you get from working there is that you got food 50% off and certain drinks 50% off. But you couldn't get them for certain drinks. I forget, like the espresso beverages. That, because I guess of how much it costs to get the espresso beans and the milk and whatnot, I don't know. And you couldn't get anything with steak or fish. And that's like a good quarter of their menu, but it's like, it's super pricey and I didn't want their fish anyways. I think we're on like the last minute of the video, and I have some more stories. I hope this wasn't like too weird. I'm having kind of fun sharing my work stories, and I hope that wherever you are having a wonderfully fantastic MerMay, and that you guys keep on doing what you do to make that artwork for you. Lots of love. Bye.